I'm Adam, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. In this episode, we're going to discuss something that has a profound impact on our lives: the power of positive thinking. Whether you're new to English or just looking to enhance your skills, we believe this topic will resonate with you.
Hi listeners, I'm Julia, and I'm equally excited about today's discussion. Positive thinking isn't just a concept, it's a practice that can truly transform the way we approach our daily challenges and goals. Today, we'll explore how a positive mindset can influence your life, help you overcome obstacles, and even enhance your learning experience. We'll break it down into practical steps that you can start applying immediately.
To help us delve deeper into this subject, we have a very special guest with us today, Dr. Thomas. He's an expert in positive psychology, which is the study of what makes life worth living. Dr. Thomas has spent years researching the benefits of positive thinking and how it can improve our mental and emotional well-being.
Thank you, Adam and Julia. It's a pleasure to be here. Positive thinking is a powerful tool that can significantly impact our lives, both personally and professionally. I've worked with many individuals who have transformed their lives simply by shifting their mindset towards positivity. Today, I'll be sharing some of those insights with your listeners, along with practical advice on how to cultivate a positive mindset in their daily routines.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. We're looking forward to hearing your expertise. Positive thinking is a subject that not only enhances our mental health, but also plays a crucial role in our overall happiness and success. We'll be discussing various strategies, real-life examples, and actionable tips that can help our listeners make positivity a natural part of their lives.
Absolutely, Julia. We hope that by the end of this episode, our listeners will feel empowered to embrace a positive mindset, not just as a temporary mood booster, but as a lasting approach to life. So, let's get started and explore how positive thinking can make a real difference in our everyday lives. Stay tuned.
Segment 1. What is positive thinking?
All right, let's start with the basics. Dr. Thomas, I think a good place to begin is by defining what exactly we mean by positive thinking. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but for our listeners, especially those who are learning English, could you explain what positive thinking really is in simple terms?
Of course, Adam. Positive thinking is essentially a mental and emotional attitude that focuses on the bright side of life and expects positive results. It means having a mindset where you look for the good in every situation rather than dwelling on the negatives. It's about being constructive in your thoughts and actions, choosing to approach challenges with a can-do attitude, and believing that things will work out for the best. Now, this doesn't mean ignoring life's difficulties or pretending that everything is perfect. Instead, it's about acknowledging challenges but choosing to approach them with a mindset that seeks solutions rather than getting bogged down by the problems. Positive thinking is important because it influences how we perceive the world, how we respond to situations, and ultimately, how we live our lives. It's a key factor in determining our overall happiness and success.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas, for that clear explanation. So, if I'm understanding correctly, positive thinking is more than just a passing thought or a fleeting emotion. It's a consistent, proactive way of viewing the world, where you actively choose to focus on the positive aspects of any situation. It sounds like a very powerful mindset to have, especially when facing challenges. But I'm curious, how does positive thinking differ from just being optimistic? I know these two concepts are often used interchangeably, but are they really the same thing?
That's a great question, Julia, and it's important to distinguish between the two. While positive thinking and optimism are related, they are not exactly the same. Optimism is generally a hopefulness or confidence about the future, a belief that things will eventually turn out well. It's more of a general outlook on life, where you expect good things to happen in the future. Positive thinking, on the other hand, is more of a deliberate mental attitude. It's about how you think in the present moment, how you approach your current circumstances, and how you deal with the challenges that life throws your way. It's not just about hoping for the best. It's about believing that you can make the best happen through your thoughts, actions, and reactions. To put it simply, optimism is like seeing the glass as half full, while positive thinking is about taking action to fill the glass up. It's an active process that involves managing your thoughts, maintaining a positive outlook, and choosing to respond to situations in a way that's constructive and beneficial. This mindset can lead to a healthier, more fulfilling life because it helps you stay motivated, resilient, and ready to tackle whatever comes your way.
That makes a lot of sense, Doctor. Thomas. So, positive thinking is more about what we do with our thoughts on a daily basis, while optimism is the broader belief that good things will come. It sounds like positive thinking is something we can practice and get better at over time. It's empowering to know that we have control over our mindset, and that by practicing positive thinking, we can improve our overall outlook on life.
Absolutely, Julia. I think this distinction is really helpful for our listeners. Positive thinking isn't just about hoping for the best, it's about actively shaping your thoughts to create better outcomes. Dr. Thomas, I'm sure many people might wonder how they can start practicing positive thinking in their own lives. We'll dive into that a bit later, but for now, thank you for clarifying what positive thinking is and how it differs from simply being optimistic.
My pleasure, Adam and Julia. It's such an important topic, and I'm glad we're taking the time to explore it in detail. Positive thinking is a skill that anyone can develop with practice, and it can have a tremendous impact on your life.
That's great to hear, Doctor. Thomas, we'll definitely be discussing more about how our listeners can incorporate positive thinking into their daily lives as we continue. But for now, we hope this segment has given you a clear understanding of what positive thinking really means and how it's different from just being optimistic. Segment 2, Benefits of Positive Thinking.
Now that we have a good understanding of what positive thinking is, let's dive into why it's so important. Dr. Thomas, we often hear that positive thinking can change our lives, but could you help us break down the specific benefits? How does maintaining a positive mindset affect not just our mental health, but our physical health as well?
Certainly, Adam. Positive thinking has a profound impact on both our mental and physical health. When we consistently focus on the positive, we're better equipped to handle stress, which is a major factor in our overall well-being. Reduced stress levels are one of the most significant benefits of positive thinking. When we're not bogged down by negative thoughts, our body experiences less of the harmful effects of stress, such as increased blood pressure and a weakened immune system. Beyond that, positive thinking improves our coping skills. When faced with challenges, those who maintain a positive outlook tend to be more resilient. They see obstacles as temporary and solvable rather than insurmountable. This resilience allows them to navigate hardships with greater ease, which in turn reduces the mental toll that such situations can take. From a physical health perspective, positive thinking is linked to improved immune function. Studies have shown that individuals who engage in positive thinking have stronger immune systems, making them less susceptible to illnesses like the common cold or flu. This is partly because stress hormones, which are reduced when we think positively, can suppress immune function if they're constantly activated. Moreover, there's evidence to suggest that positive thinking can even extend our lifespan. People who maintain a positive outlook are generally more proactive about their health, engaging in behaviors such as regular exercise, a balanced diet, and routine health checks. All of these contribute to a longer, healthier life.
Those are some incredible benefits, Dr. Thomas. It's fascinating to hear how something as simple as maintaining a positive mindset can have such far-reaching effects. I'm sure our listeners would love to know if there are any real-life examples or studies that back up these claims. Can you share a few that highlight the power of positive thinking?
Certainly, Julia. There's a wealth of research out there that underscores the power of positive thinking. One of the most well-known studies is the Nun study, which began in the 1980s. This long-term study followed a group of nuns over several decades, and it was found that those who expressed more positive emotions in their early years lived significantly longer than their peers who were less positive. The researchers concluded that these positive emotions played a crucial role in their longevity. Another example is a study conducted by the Mayo Clinic, which examined the effects of optimism on heart health. The study found that people with a positive outlook were less likely to suffer from heart disease compared to those with a more negative outlook. The researchers attributed this to the fact that optimistic people tend to manage stress better and are more likely to engage in healthy behaviors. Additionally, there's a compelling body of evidence from the field of psychoneuroimmunology, which explores the connection between our mind and immune system. Studies in this area have shown that people who practice positive thinking have higher levels of protective antibodies, which help fend off infections. This research clearly illustrates the link between our mental state and our physical health. In terms of real-life examples, we can look at stories from cancer patients. Many patients who maintain a positive outlook during their treatment often report better outcomes and a higher quality of life. While positive thinking alone isn't a cure, it significantly helps in managing the emotional and physical challenges of such a serious illness.
Thank you for those examples, Dr. Thomas. They really bring home the idea that positive thinking isn't just about feeling good, it's about actually living better. The stories you shared show that a positive mindset can have tangible benefits, from improving our immune system to helping us live longer, healthier lives.
And what's particularly striking is how consistent these findings are across different studies and situations. Whether it's the nuns living longer, heart patients managing their stress, or individuals fighting off illness with stronger immune systems, the common thread is the power of positive thinking. It's clear that adopting this mindset can make a significant difference in our daily lives.
Exactly, Adam. It's inspiring to think that by simply shifting our perspective and focusing on the positive, we can improve not just our mood, but our overall health and longevity. For our listeners, this is a powerful takeaway. Embracing positive thinking isn't just about having a better day. It's about creating a better life. As we continue this discussion, we'll explore more practical ways to cultivate and maintain a positive mindset.
Absolutely, Julia. We've seen just how beneficial positive thinking can be, and I'm sure many of our listeners are eager to start applying these principles to their own lives. Up next, we'll dive into some practical strategies for building and sustaining a positive mindset, even when life gets challenging. Stay with us.
Segment 3. How to practice positive thinking in daily life.
All right. We've explored what positive thinking is and the incredible benefits it brings to our lives. But I'm sure our listeners are wondering, how do I actually start practicing positive thinking every day? Dr. Thomas, could you share some practical tips that our audience can easily incorporate into their daily routines?
Certainly, Adam. Positive thinking is something we can all practice regardless of where we are in life. The key is to make small, consistent changes to our daily habits that encourage a more positive mindset. Let's start with a simple but powerful technique. Starting the day with a positive affirmation. This involves choosing a phrase or a statement that reflects a positive outlook or a goal you want to achieve. For example, you might say to yourself, "Today is going to be a great day," or "I am capable of handling whatever comes my way." Saying these affirmations aloud when you wake up sets a positive tone for the rest of the day. Another important practice is focusing on the good things, however small. Life can throw many challenges our way, and it's easy to get caught up in what's going wrong. However, if we make a conscious effort to notice and appreciate the small, positive things in our lives, like a beautiful sunrise, a kind word from a friend, or even a moment of peace, we can start to shift our focus from the negative to the positive. Next, we have the technique of turning negative thoughts into positive ones. This is a bit more challenging, but it's incredibly effective. Whenever you catch yourself thinking something negative, try to reframe it. For instance, if you're thinking, "I'm terrible at this," you could instead say, "I'm still learning, and I'm getting better every day." It's about training your mind to see the possibility for growth and improvement in every situation. Another great tool is keeping a gratitude journal. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big, just something that made you smile or feel good during the day. Over time, this practice helps to rewire your brain to notice and appreciate the positive aspects of your life more naturally. Surrounding yourself with positive people is another crucial step. The people we spend time with can greatly influence our mood and outlook. Try to connect with those who uplift you, encourage you, and inspire you to be the best version of yourself. This doesn't mean avoiding people who are struggling or going through tough times, but rather being mindful of the energy you allow into your space. Finally, practices like mindfulness and meditation are fantastic ways to cultivate a positive mindset. These techniques help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you're mindful, you can observe your thoughts more objectively, making it easier to let go of negative ones and focus on the present moment.
These tips are incredibly practical, Doctor Thomas. And what's great is that they're accessible to everyone. For example, starting the day with a positive affirmation takes just a few seconds, but it can set the tone for how you approach the challenges that come your way. Focusing on the good things, no matter how small, can be a real game changer, especially during tough times. I imagine that for many people, turning negative thoughts into positive ones might be the hardest part. It's so easy to get caught in a loop of negative thinking, especially when things aren't going well. What advice would you give to someone who's struggling to overcome those negative thoughts?
That's a great question, Julia, and it's something that many people struggle with. Overcoming negative thoughts often requires a technique called cognitive restructuring. This involves identifying and challenging the negative thoughts that arise. When a negative thought comes up, ask yourself if it's really true, or if you're just assuming the worst. For example, if you think, "I'm going to fail at this," ask yourself, "What evidence do I have that supports this? What evidence do I have that contradicts it?" By breaking down the thought and analyzing it, you can often see that it's not as rooted in reality as it might feel. Another technique is reframing negative situations. This means looking at a situation from a different perspective. For example, instead of thinking, "This is a disaster," you might try to see it as a learning opportunity. What can I learn from this situation? How can I grow from this experience? Reframing doesn't mean ignoring the challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about finding a more constructive way to view the situation. Both of these techniques require practice, but the more you do them, the more naturally they'll come. It's like building a muscle. The more you work on it, the stronger it gets. Over time, you'll find it easier to catch and transform those negative thoughts before they take hold.
That's really insightful, Dr. Thomas. I love the idea of cognitive restructuring because it's a reminder that not every thought we have is true. Sometimes we need to step back and challenge those negative narratives we create in our minds. Let me share a personal story to illustrate this. A few years ago, I was preparing for an important presentation at work, and I remember feeling completely overwhelmed. My mind was filled with negative thoughts like, I'm going to mess this up, and everyone's going to see me fail. But then, I decided to try reframing those thoughts. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, I started to think about what could go right. I reminded myself that I had prepared well, that I knew the material, and that this was an opportunity to share something valuable with my colleagues. That shift in perspective made a huge difference. Not only did the presentation go well, but I also felt much more confident and calm.
That's a great example, Adam. It really shows how powerful these techniques can be in real-life situations. And I think a lot of our listeners can relate to that feeling of anxiety before a big event or challenge. It's all about how you approach it, whether you let those negative thoughts control you, or you take control and turn them into something positive. So, to our listeners, we encourage you to try out these techniques. Start your day with a positive affirmation. Focus on the good things, keep a gratitude journal, and surround yourself with positive people. And if you find yourself stuck in a negative thought pattern, remember Dr. Thomas's advice. Practice cognitive restructuring and try to reframe the situation. We'd love to hear about your experiences. If you try any of these techniques, share your stories with us in the comments or on social media. Let's build a community of positive thinkers who support and inspire each other.
Absolutely, Julia. Positive thinking is a journey, and we're all in it together. By sharing our experiences and supporting one another, we can make that journey a little bit easier and a lot more enjoyable. Remember, it's the small, consistent efforts that lead to big changes over time. So start today, and let's see where positive thinking can take us.
Segment 4. Challenges and misconceptions about positive thinking.
Now, while positive thinking has numerous benefits, it's also surrounded by some common challenges and misconceptions. One of the most frequent criticisms is that it can seem unrealistic or even naive. Some people think that being positive means ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine when it's not. Dr. Thomas, could you help clarify this misconception? Is positive thinking really about ignoring reality?
That's an excellent question, Adam. The idea that positive thinking is about ignoring problems is indeed a common misconception, but it's far from the truth. Positive thinking doesn't mean turning a blind eye to difficulties or pretending that everything is perfect. Instead, it's about how you choose to respond to those difficulties. It's about approaching challenges with a constructive and hopeful mindset, believing that you have the ability to overcome them or at least learn something valuable from them. In other words, positive thinking is about embracing reality with optimism and resilience, rather than being overwhelmed by negativity.
That makes a lot of sense, Dr. Thomas. So, if I'm understanding correctly, positive thinking is not about avoiding problems, but rather about confronting them with a mindset that focuses on solutions and growth. But I imagine that some people might struggle with this balance. How can someone practice positive thinking while still being realistic about the challenges they face?
Balancing positive thinking with realism is key, Julia, and it's a skill that can be developed over time. Positive thinking and realism aren't mutually exclusive. They actually complement each other. When you maintain a realistic outlook, you acknowledge the problems and challenges in your life, but you also apply positive thinking to find ways to deal with them effectively. For example, if you're facing a difficult situation at work, A realistic approach would involve recognizing the challenges ahead, while positive thinking would encourage you to focus on what you can do to improve the situation, what resources are available to you, and how you can grow from the experience. In fact, research shows that people who combine optimism with realism, what some call realistic optimism, tend to be better problem solvers. They're able to face facts and tackle issues head-on, but they do so with a belief that they can make things better. This mindset enhances their resilience and ability to adapt to changing circumstances, which are critical skills in both personal and professional life.
That's really insightful, Doctor. Thomas. So it's about using positive thinking as a tool to enhance your problem-solving abilities, rather than as a way to avoid dealing with problems. But let's talk about the tough times, the moments when it feels almost impossible to stay positive. We all face situations that seem overwhelming, where negativity starts to creep in despite our best efforts. What advice would you give to someone who's struggling to stay positive during these difficult moments?
Today, we're discussing something powerful, the impact of positive thinking. What do you think?
I don't know. People always say, think positive, but does it really change anything?
Absolutely. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions shape your results.
But what if life keeps throwing problems at you? How can just thinking positively fix that?
It's not about ignoring problems. It's about choosing how you react to them.
So, just smiling through everything will solve my problems?
Not quite. It's about training your mind to find solutions instead of focusing on obstacles.
That sounds easier said than done. If something bad happens, it's hard not to feel negative.
True. But here's the key: your first thought is automatic, but your second thought is a choice.
And so even if my first reaction is negative, I can train myself to think differently after.
Exactly, and over time, your first reaction will start to change too.
But isn't that just pretending? What if I don't actually feel positive?
At first, it might feel that way, but your mind believes what you repeatedly tell it.
So if I keep telling myself I can handle this, eventually I'll believe it.
Yes, and when you believe you can handle something, you act differently, you try harder, stay calmer, and find better solutions.
I guess that makes sense, but what if everything seems hopeless?
That's when positive thinking matters the most. It helps you see opportunities even in tough situations.
So it's not about ignoring problems, but changing how I see them.
Exactly, a problem is just a challenge waiting for a solution.
But what if I fail?
Then you learn, and the way you think about failure decides whether you grow or stay stuck.
So even failure can be useful.
Every successful person has failed many times. The difference is they kept going.
So positive thinking is more than just feeling good. It actually changes how I handle life.
Now you're getting it. It's a mindset that helps you move forward, no matter what.
Okay, I get that positive thinking helps, but what if I just don't feel motivated?
That's normal. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline and mindset stay.
So I can't rely on motivation.
Not always, but if you train your mind to think positively, you won't need motivation to keep going.
But sometimes I wake up and just feel stuck. What then?
Start small. Even one positive action can change your mood.
Like what?
Gratitude. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, think of 3 things you're grateful for.
3 things? That sounds simple.
It is, but it's powerful. Gratitude shifts your focus from problems to possibilities.
But what if I feel like there's nothing to be grateful for?
There's always something. Your health, your mind, a lesson learned. Even small things count.
So gratitude helps me see the good in my life.
Exactly. And when you see good, you feel good. When you feel good, you act better.
But what about negative people? Sometimes others bring me down.
That's true. But you have a choice: let their negativity control you, or protect your mindset.
How do I protect it?
Set boundaries. Limit time with toxic people. Surround yourself with those who uplift you.
And if I can't avoid them?
Then don't absorb their negativity. Their words only have power if you believe them.
That sounds hard. What if their words feel true?
Ask yourself, is this really true, or just their opinion? Most negativity comes from their own struggles, not reality.
So I shouldn't take everything personally.
Exactly. Other people's negativity is about them, not you.
But what if I'm my own worst enemy? Sometimes my own thoughts are negative.
That's common. The mind can be your greatest friend or your worst critic.
How do I stop negative self-talk?
First, notice it, then challenge it. Ask, would I say this to a friend? If not, don't say it to yourself.
That's interesting. So I should treat myself like I'd treat a friend.
Yes, be kind to yourself. Encourage yourself like you would encourage someone you care about.
But won't that make me too soft on myself?
No, self-compassion isn't weakness. It actually makes you stronger because you don't waste energy on self-doubt.
And so, instead of beating myself up, I should learn and move on.
Exactly. Growth comes from learning, not from self-punishment.
This makes sense, but it's a lot to practice. What if I forget?
You will, and that's okay. The key is to keep coming back to it, again and again.
So, positive thinking isn't about being perfect.
Not at all. It's about progress. Even small changes in thinking can lead to big changes in life.
I like that. Small steps, big results.
Exactly. A positive mindset is built one thought at a time.
I think I understand now. It's not just about thinking happy thoughts, it's about training my mind to see solutions, handle challenges, and grow from failures.
Yes, and once you master that, nothing can hold you back.
All right, I'm going to try this.
That's the first step deciding to change your mindset. Keep going, and you'll see the difference.